What does it mean to be engaged in today's workplace? How do we inspire, inform, and connect a working community? How do we build a culture of irreplaceability, trust, and listening to keep people on board and rowing together? Welcome to Post-COVID Leadership Advice. This series is all about building a workplace culture where people feel heard, supported, informed, and connected. This is a roadmap for leaders at any level, at any organization.
Co-Crea-paloozas. What on earth is that? Well, it doesn't exist. It's a random name that I just invented because it was something that I tried out some years ago and it really worked. It was very effective. And it just is a giant co-creation session using every single person in the company. If you have a particular cultural challenge that you are dealing with and we need to move forward in a way that everybody can deal with. In this particular time and place, it was just after COVID. People were just re-entering the office. And after this couple years of trauma, we were trying to figure out who we were, what we were here to do, what our culture meant, what our new mission, vision, and our culture ought to consist of. So we needed a bunch of new rules and new ideas to create a new culture that was going to be hybrid by definition and by necessity. And also that took into consideration all the things that we learned from being on our own in the pandemic so we could re-envision this together. So all this really is a giant Zoom call where you have that coupled with a very large mural board or some sort of a visual digital space where everybody is able to interact. And you can have up to 400, 500 people interacting on a single mural board as long as you have enough space. You have to map this out quite in advance. But it's very, very possible to have as many people as you need working together on this one board. Now, a mural board or any one of these other digital boards is just a big space that you can divide up into areas, and you have little stickers that people can use that map out separate individual ideas, and this is done in a kind of a matrix. So take, for example, the challenge, a cultural challenge of what sort of wellness and mental health policy do we have going forward? So let's say within this space, everybody has a say. What needs to be done? And you can divide this up into 3 or 4 categories. What are the applications that we need? For instance, what kind of platforms do we need? What kind of facilities do we need? What do we want to offer? What is the responsibility of the office and what is the responsibility of the worker when it comes to physical and mental health? So you divide these areas up into topics. And let's say those are those 4 topics. And maybe one more topic, which is actual stuff to do. So yoga or meditation or whatever it is. So there's a space for that too. So people can always pop a sticky in there as well. So you have it very clearly mapped out from the start. People log in, they're welcomed, they get the rules explained to them, and they get to work. They work in 10-minute increments where they focus on one particular aspect in a small group, maybe 15 to 20 people with a moderator in there to pull out some of the best ideas, and they get to work. All they are doing is putting down ideas related to that particular theme or topic, and they just fill up the sticky board. And then they discuss in that small group what are the best ideas. They pull those best ideas down into another pool, and then after those 15 minutes of group work, they come together again in the general plenary session, and they share what those best ideas were. And then from there, you can move on to other aspects. And you do this one theme at a time, all of which, let's say, operates around the topic of mental health. And then at the end of the day, you have this enormous amount of data, and you need the cleanup crew to come around and pull all these stickies together and come up with some kind of a roadmap that is the definition of what the colleagues, what the actual workers have decided is what they need. And it's not perfect. It's not a perfect democratic, obviously, because it's a bunch of sticky notes. Some people stick a lot more than others. It doesn't matter. But the idea that everybody can say what they need to say, that everybody does have a voice, this is an engagement driver in terms of pure optics and in terms of the feeling that you get when you are co-creating on this scale. Now, once you have this roadmap forward, it's up to leadership to find out what to do with it and to communicate clearly which ideas are going to be taken up, which are affordable and normal and realistic, and which are just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs ideas that will never be. You cannot have an entire yoga studio built in on a rooftop with waterfalls. That's just bonkers. But most of the time, these ideas aren't bonkers at all. They're very realistic. They're not expensive at all. They're quite small, but there they are nonetheless. So, in terms of optics, what does this thing look like when you're experiencing it? And from the 2 times that we've actually run this, the mood is quite electric. You see everybody up close working together in this space. Everybody's highly focused. But then you have the opportunity also to zoom out. And you can zoom all the way out on this Miro board or this Klaxoon board, whatever it is, and see 300 people buzzing around, engaged, putting up ideas, talking to each other, filling up the chat with funny, silly emojis and suggestions and ideas. And if you look at it from a distance, it's a vision that you won't forget very quickly because you see 300 people working together in this way. It looks like a giant beehive. And you see people swarming around and you see the fruits of their labor. You see these ideas bubbling up. And it's absolutely exhausting and exciting and invigorating. And you feel that thrill of being part of something larger than yourself. And this is the definition of engagement. So if you have the opportunity to run an event like this Co-Crea-palooza thing, I highly recommend it for a number of reasons. So, the Co-Crea-palooza. Good luck.
Thank you for being a part of this episode. Subscribe, follow, so you never have to miss another one. These ideas are based on the Comic Books for Executive series. Go to postcovidhandbook.com